And now the host of Here's to Your Health on LA Talk Live, Joshua Lane.
We're back. Thanks for tuning into this edition of Here's to Your Health. I'm your host, Josh Lane, and you're listening on the LA Talk Live radio network. Our guest now is Rick Wagner of Eidon Labs. And Rick the company works with trace minerals as a healing tool. Is that it?
You could classify them as trace, or actually it would be classified more precisely as macro and micro.
Okay.
Because there is another company out there that has a product called trace minerals.
I see. Okay.
But yes, these are the elements that that make up the entire universe and that we are made up of.
Okay. Now, as I forgot to thank you for being a guest on my show. Thank you for being a guest.
My pleasure.
How did you get involved with using minerals for healing?
This story goes back about 16 years now, when I was 50 years old, and I was introduced to a product called silica. At this time, the company that manufactured it was a German company, and they made a product called Body Essential Silica Gel.
Okay.
I took it to see if it'd grow hair.
All right.
That was the objective, and it didn't grow any hair. But what I discovered after about 6 weeks of taking this product was that I had an arthritic issue in my neck, and the pain began to decline. And I had to stop taking it after 6 weeks. All of this pain that had been diminishing came back. Got back on it when I came back into town. 2 days later, the pain curve had come down to where it had been before I left. 9 months later, all of the pain was gone. I had diagnosed osteoarthritis in my neck. The range of motion of my head had gone from an ability of 90 degrees down the shoulder to 45. And I mean, I talk to people every day about that, and I was told that it was virtually incurable. And in 9 months, it was gone.
Okay, and this neck injury, was this from a car accident, a skiing accident?
No, this was just a chronic, slow development of calcium deposits on my neck vertebrae, which people all over the planet experience now. And I came to the conclusion at that point that it was due to a lack of dietary silica. That is what it was. And then I began doing research on silica itself. And then I amazingly found several books that had been written about the subject. And after I started reading the books, I said, holy smokes. I mean, not only does this thing help with this thing being the silica, help manage calcium in the body, it is absolutely essential to build collagen. We must have it in our diets in order to maintain the collagen levels in our diet and in our bodies that we are able to easily do when we're in, let's say, our teen years, early 20s and 30s. It's after that things really slow down and begin to degrade. And we have to understand, collagen exists in the body from the interior of the bone all the way to the outside of the skin. Absolutely essential for proper and optimal functioning of every cell in the body. And it's what holds all of our cells together.
And so now the word collagen is used quite a lot these days. And how can we, as mature men, not as old men, but as mature men, how can we maintain our collagen levels?
Historically, the way we were able to maintain a good balance between calcium and silica was through the eating of whole grains. Now, when I say a whole grain, I mean a grain with the outside husk still intact and ground up with the interior of the seed. It's the outside husk that contains all of the silica. Starting about 100 years ago, that was automatically always removed at harvest. And so even when you eat sprouted grain breads or whole grain breads, you are not getting the silica level. The only way today that you can ingest adequate levels due to the fact that our diets are so refined is by supplementing. There's nothing else available in a natural diet today that will provide us with the levels that we need to maintain our collagen.
And what type of silica products do you advocate?
The silica product that I advocate, and it's because of the experience that I had, is actually rock based. Mm-hmm. In nature, silica is found as quartz. And literally quartz represents 70% of the Earth's crust. Mm-hmm. In fact, I believe that's probably 70% of the entire universe. It was the very first thing discovered on Mars when we sent our rover to Mars.
Quartz,
mm-hmm. Silica, and so it literally is replete in the Earth, but it's getting it, and so organically you can get it through a product called horsetail, where they've actually taken the exterior of the horsetail plant, which is a bamboo type plant, grows in bogs. Mm-hmm. The processing of it is quite extensive, and you ingest it as a powder. What I discovered in taking the other silica, the body essential silica, was that we as humans absorb our minerals most effectively as liquids, not as powders. When we eat, what are we doing? We are literally juicing the food that we're consuming. Mm-hmm. And that allows then the body to ionize the element and then absorb it into the bloodstream and then therefore into the cell structure.
Okay.
If you cannot ionize the element, you will not absorb it and not be able to use it. It's got to be at its atomic size to be used within the cell.
So you think that horsetail is a legitimate medicinal herb for structural issues, but that this newer technology, liquid form, based on your experience, is better?
It's better, and it's truly only better because it is ready to be absorbed and utilized at the cellular level. I mean, all foods are getting our minerals in our food supply is optimal. Well, actually, I want to back up. There are two sources of minerals in nature: water and food. So we want to try to get our minerals from either the water we drink or the food we eat. Mm-hmm. That is problematic today.
Yes.
Almost impossible.
Yes.
And particularly in the particular balances that we need. And from my perspective, and looking back in history, virtually all of illness from today back is 99% due to a lack of minerals in the body and the proper balance. Disease is just an imbalance in the body. It's an imbalance, and we can correct it if we know what is out of balance.
Let's go back to the 6-week period you were taking this German silica product, and you saw great results in your neck. What about in your fingernails or your skin? Did you also think, oh my God, that got better too?
Well, I certainly get a lot more compliments on my skin than I did then, and my skin was a wreck at that point, and it is vastly improved.
When you were 50, your skin was what?
Well, I had a lot of blemishes on my face. I looked old.
Okay.
I think that's the best way to describe it. And I literally was on a downhill curve at that point. Now, keep in mind there were a few other issues going on, and the primary one was I was consuming a lot of sugar. Mm-hmm. I was consuming a lot of grain, refined grain. I was consuming, and I had amalgam fillings in my mouth. Mm-hmm. All of those things contribute to then significant imbalances. And dietarily, I thought I was doing fairly well, but I still ate a lot of sugar and a lot of white flour. And I also would prophylactically take antibiotics. If I went to Mexico, didn't want to get the turista, so I'd go to the doctor and get a prescription of antibiotics. Well, you talk about creating imbalance in the body. And so I was at this point where I was experiencing all of these imbalances, and I knew that things were not right with me. And as I began to take the silica, I started noticing improvement after improvement after improvement. I still have issues with my fingernails because I still have quite a bit of heavy metal toxicity going on in my body that I'm working at getting rid of using the mineral products that I've developed.
And on the use of processed sugar, have you completely eliminated sugar?
Completely.
Right. And that, of course, is, in my opinion, I like to tell people that not eating sugar, processed sugar, is the single smartest thing that we can do. Everyone kind of knows it, but they tend to forget it. So I like to remind them.
You're spot on, and the prior guest was spot on, and it is the cause of cancer. There is no doubt about it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know processed sugar, it's just also, as I like to say, cheap starch. It does not make you a strong, healthy guy. It just makes you puffy and, contributes to a lot of health problems. And people do know that. Not everyone knows it, but a lot of us know it, but people really tend to forget. So when you were 50, why did you suddenly change your lifestyle?
Because I recognized that there were things out there that could actually resolve and reverse things that I had been told were incurable by my Western medicine doctors. And
having a bad neck must be certainly upsetting when you can't really move your neck. You must think, oh my goodness, this is bad.
I'm on my way down.
Right.
I mean, this is the end, and this is the way it's going to be. I mean, I was not happy, and I mean, the solution was aspirin every day, and if it really gets bad, well, we'll cut your neck open and scrape off the
Right.
Ooh. Well, what they didn't realize was that the calcium deposits are on top of and on the bottom of the neck vertebrae. They're not sitting outside an inch away from your spinal cord. Right. They were going to get within microns of my spinal cord. I mean, in fact, I have a good friend that had that occur in his back, and they decided he let them go in and do it on his back. He's crippled now.
Right. That's terrible. You hate to say that. Yeah, that's obviously bad technology. Bad technology that the MDs still get away with that.
It's ancient, archaic,
right.
An ancient, archaic approach to health.
Right. Absolutely.
And the minerals are, as all of these nutraceuticals that we're looking at, good, healthy diet, that is where we need to be in the whole concept of health and nutrition. And we'll see miracles happen, and I see them happen every day.
Right. Now, obviously, lifestyle, many of us recognize, as simple as it is, everything's simple after you know it, that lifestyle, what you're eating, air you breathe, water you drink, turns out to be significant in creating good or bad health. Now, you have a bunch of mineral products that we have on display here. Are these all silica products?
No, they're not. Let's though start with the silica, because that is it's our flagship product. Mm-hmm. We do sell more of it than anything else, even though it is the least known of these elements. And because it is a collagen-based product or element, it affects the entire body. It rebuilds your oral tissues, all of your gums and your teeth will be vastly improved. It stops receding gums.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
It stops bleeding gums. But then, obviously, you've heard of the purple pill. Literally.
No, I haven't.
Oh, you haven't?
No, what is that?
It is I think it's a $2 billion product now by one of the pharmaceutical industries or companies, and literally what it does is stop acid indigestion and any kind of GERD and all of those issues.
By doing what?
You take up one of these pills.
Oh, it suppresses stomach acid?
Yeah.
Oh, that seems like a bad idea.
Right. It's a totally bad idea.
Yeah.
This literally it literally rebuilds your entire GI tract, because your GI tract is structured by, it's got a good muscular stomach, and then it has a muscle tissue that goes all the way down through the small intestine and large intestine, but it has to have a mucous membrane lining. That membrane lining is shed continuously. Without adequate levels of silica in your system, you can't rebuild it. Acid indigestion is a defective lining of the mucous membrane of the stomach.
Okay.
If you take this silica, within 5 minutes of acid indigestion, it'll stop. because it's going in and it's allowing the stomach to rebuild the mucus
Right.
in the stomach, so that the acids that you normally are secreting to digest the protein or the fats that you've ingested is not going to be hitting the stomach wall.
Okay.
And this does it all the way down through the entire GI tract.
What's the name of that product?
That's the silica.
Mm-hmm.
Again.
Just
It's
called liquid silica.
liquid silica, ionic silica.
And how much would a person take per day? An adult?
A tablespoon, which is 375 milligrams. One dose is all you need, and it's plenty. Now then, though, this goes on. Once it gets out of your GI tract, it's going to manage any excessive calcium in the tissues, which we have a lot of today. We are overwhelmed with calcium. Then, though, what it does is it also rebuilds the collagen matrix in bone. Now, osteoporosis is not a loss of or a lack of calcium per se in bone. When a physician X-rays a bone, they are actually looking at the collagen matrix of the bone, not the calcium content. But what do? They recommend 1,000 milligrams of calcium. I have yet to find a research study that demonstrates that calcium builds bone. It is found in bone. It is stored in bone. It creates the hard structure of bone. But your bone tissue must have flexibility. The flexibility comes from the collagen matrix. The only thing that will build a collagen matrix is an adequate source of silica.
Well, that's actually a very powerful statement. So you feel that silica is really the deciding factor in maintaining bone mass and healthy bones.
Absolutely.
And calcium is found there as the most abundant mineral in the body, but that is the collagen is really the facilitator. Is that a fair way to put it?
Well, in technical terms, what silica does is it catalyzes the glycosaminoglycan enzyme, which is essential for the body to have as a functioning enzyme to rebuild collagen cells. And it's this collagen matrix then, which starts in the inside of the bone, but also it holds all of your muscle tissue together, all of your nerve cells together, your skin, your hair, your nails. If you don't have that, you will then have what we call disease. You will be at dis-ease, and at any level, wherever it might be. But it catalyzes, the silica catalyzes the glycosaminoglycan enzyme, which then stimulates the body's ability or allows the body to be able to reproduce collagen as we age.
And what's the name of your company?
Eidon. It's pronounced Eidon, and that's a Greek word, and it means to see.
Eidon. Okay, I did not know that. Okay, Eidon.
Yeah.
Okay, I was wondering actually.
Yeah.
And when did you? Are you the chemist behind the product?
Actually, I am not the chemist. I was not trained in chemistry, but I obviously knew how to run a business, and I had a close relationship with a chemistry department in a company that I worked for many years ago, and I was able to find two chemists down there that were very, very familiar with silica. It is not an easy element to work with. And it took us about a year, he and I working together, to develop and find the right raw material to use to make this product. But we did. I tried going to the German company, but they were far too difficult to work with and had their own requirements.
Right, they had their own thing going.
Right. So we developed it after about a year, and then began selling silica. And then, though, what I discovered was it isn't just silica. Silica is only one element out of 92 that we find in our bodies. And there are about 14, 15, or 16 others that are very, very essential. And so what we decided we would do would be to create a full line of the minerals, the essential minerals, in a liquid format, keeping in mind that it is in a liquid format that our bodies can most easily recognize the element and then put it to work.
That sounds good. For those of you just tuning in, we're chatting with Rick Wagner of Eidon Laboratories. He's our guest, and we're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back after these important messages.